Okay, so considering I got so many people on my other video asking me how I set it up and how I actually did the whole thing, I decided I'd make a tutorial on how I actually did my setup. So basically, before I even get into any recording or any editing or anything like that, I'd like to actually just point out that if you don't have a good drum kit or a good mic, or haven't got your drums tuned up the way they could be, it's not going to sound as good as it can. So basically you've got to be good at those two things first. Like, you have to have a nice kit and know what you're doing with a kit before anything will sound good, because as any good sound engineer knows, if it sounds better from the source, you're going to have to do less editing later on in the software. So yeah, so anyway, what I use to record is a Digidesign M-Box 2 Mini, which is one of these bad boys. And people are always asking me if I'm using mixers and stuff, but I didn't use any mixer. That's all I used is this, because it has two inputs at the back. For that video that I'm talking about though, I only used one. I had one microphone over the kit in the middle, like this. This was all it was one stand awkwardly placed in the middle of my kit like that. And I'll show you from the other side, hang on. It was very placed as centrally as possible over the kit, and it seemed to pick up things pretty well actually. That's not the mic I used, by the way. I used a Shure SM58, which is like the industry standard for a live mic basically. That's just a crappy cheap one I have there, just as an example. But yeah, that was basically how I did it. And yeah, about people asking me about mixers and stuff, you could, I've never tried it, but you could use a mixer, I think. And you know, if you had like a mic on every tom here, or like every drum, like all over your kit, and had it going into like an 8-channel mixer, and then had the two stereo outputs of your mixer going into either of the inputs on the back of your M-Box, that could work. That would turn out pretty well, I think. But you'd have to do all your tweaking and your volumes on your mixer, and it will have not much to do with the M-Box. So you'd have to know what you're doing for that. But what else? Yeah, people asking me about Pro Tools and about the M-Box and all that. Well, I got this M-Box with Pro Tools 8, just after Pro Tools 8 came out. And I got this on eBay for €250, which is actually pretty good considering Pro Tools 8 was just out. And they're a good buy. Like, I mean, if you're into drums and into, you know, recording stuff, or, you know, even anything, like if you're any musician at all into recording, they're a very good thing to have at home. Like, they're handy. So yeah, basically the other end of this cable it wasn't one of these on the video I used, that because I was using a proper mic. It had a proper XLR end on it. But yeah, I'm gonna jump on the computer now and show you how I set it up in Pro Tools. And I will probably make another video pretty soon of the same setup but using two microphones, and I'll show you how much better that one sounds than the last one. So yeah, anyway, I hope the rest of this video helps, and I'll see you later.
Okay, so now for the part where I show you how to set up in Pro Tools my very simple method of recording drums. So what we want to do is open up Pro Tools, set up a new session. These settings right here I haven't really touched since I got it, so I just left them the way they were, to be honest. Let's see, let's name this Drum Tutorial. Okay, so basically, because you're only using one mic and one input, you're only going to need one audio track. But I've got another trick to show you after that. So we go track, new, creating one mono audio track. Okay, now you're going to go window and over to your edit, or your mix, I mean, sorry. Okay, now if you've got your mic plugged into input 1 on the M-Box, you're going to have to choose input 1 here on the interface. This is your input and your output right here. And I'm not going to show you how to record because I don't really have time to do that, to be honest. But I'll show you the effects and settings I use on the tracks once they're done. So the first thing I do is, once I've recorded my drums, I go in here and I choose the Bomb Factory BF76 compressor, and I'll show you my settings that I've got here now. If I can even find them. There we go. So it's not a very harsh compression at all, and it's a fairly quick attack with a fairly slow release, just to keep it nice and even sounding, and it seems to work pretty well, to be honest. It balances them out nicely. And then after that, I use an EQ 4-band, and I have a preset for that too. There we go. Now you'll notice that I gave the lows a bit of a boost, cut out some mids and cut out a little bit of highs, because basically the method of recording isn't the best, so the lows need a good boost because I'm not using a big diaphragm microphone, or it's not able to pick up much lows, to be honest. From both the mic and the microphone position, it's not able to actually pick up lows. So I boosted about 3 decibels around 80 Hertz just to give it a little bit of body behind it, and then I brought down about 1.5 decibels on 1000 or 1 kilohertz, I mean, just to make it sound a bit more flat, to be honest. It was just too much mids, and I took out a little bit of the highs as well, just a little bit, because you know, obviously cymbals are very overpowering when you record drums, so yeah, they just needed to be toned down a little bit. And now what I do once I've got this done and I'm pretty happy with the sound is a little trick of mine, because you need reverb. Like, a little bit of reverb is always good, because I don't know, it just makes them generally sound better and not like you just recorded it with a tape recorder. So you'll notice here when I go into reverb, all of these here, I like the air ones, I like the air reverb, that one, but you'll notice that all of them are mono, because we're only using a mono track to record the drums. So my trick is I put in a stereo auxiliary input as the next track, and what you do is this, I'm going to send the drums from my track here to this track to basically send the signal through this track to the reverb. I'm going to put the reverb on the auxiliary so that it comes out stereo, so that it makes the whole thing sound wider rather than just the reverb. Like, the whole thing sounds much better when you do it this way. So you set your input as a bus, because you can't actually use an input. Well, you can, but that's different. Just set it as bus 1 and 2 because it's easier to find. And I do have a reverb preset as well. Air reverb. It's a very small reverb, you don't need much, just to make it, just to take an edge off it. It's nice. Now you can read these settings and copy them if you want, but yeah, it's only a 1.2 seconds reverb time. It's not much at all, and the room size is 40% and the mix is 50. Like, it's very subtle, but it helps a lot. It helps round out the sound. And anyway, if you play it like this now, you won't hear it. So what you gotta do is go send, and because this input here is bus 1 and 2, you gotta go bus 1 and 2. It'll be highlighted in orange like it is here. You'll see. You'll notice it. So yeah, you send that, and then basically just bring up this slider to whatever amount of reverb you want to hear on your drums, and yeah, you should be good to go after that. You can tweak whatever else you want, but yeah, this seems to work pretty well for me. And as I said, I will make another video soon with 2 mics on my kit, and show you how much better that sounds. And I'll take my time editing it and stuff, and yeah, it should sound much better. So basically, if you've any questions about anything you've seen or feedback on this video in general, please let me know in some comments, and I will see you later.